This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishikesh.
Shahid Kapoor is here. What's up, bro?
What's up,
see you, man.
What's up, Hrishi? How are you doing?
Excellent. Well, I've got to say this. You walk into a movie set where three people have done two intense movies together.
Yeah, man.
Easy to break in. I mean, they're all wonderfully pleasant folks, but I'm just saying.
It's actually great. I think, they're a team that have worked so well together. It's exciting and challenging at the same time. And very honestly, I don't view it like that. Every film is a new journey. And every time you do a film, you need to get along with the people that you work with. And it's nice that those people have worked before and you've seen their work and you've liked their work. And yeah, I mean, honestly, my focus was on the character, Maharaul Ratan Singh, a guy who people don't know too much about. He's not spoken about in history as much. So I feel responsible for putting out what he's all about and representing him and representing the dynasty of Mewar and Chittor. So it's a huge privilege to be a part of this film and to be participating in something that I think is going to be very special.
The detailing looks beautifully obsessive.
That's very well put.
Even your Sehra, the sword and things like that. So were these the longest fittings you ever went through in your extensive career?
These are the longest fittings, the longest time I've taken to get ready. Every day it used to take 2.5 to 3 hours to get ready. So yeah, huge. It took a lot of time and a lot of effort.
But obviously all worth it at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. Without doubt. I mean, you see yourself, the first shot I saw of myself, I was like, man, this is banging. Let's do this.
I've never known you to be even remotely unfit in all these years.
That's very relative, my friend.
But this one calls for a different kind of fitness, doesn't it? I mean, you're playing a Rajput warrior in all terms. So any special training regime?
I think the two words that you took, Rajput and warrior, I think that essentially was the physical brief came from that. I mean, all the Rajput kings were valiant warriors and they usually held off enemies who were much larger than them because of their skill as warriors, because of their valor, because of their sheer grit. They were extremely skilled warriors, very strategic, very passionate, to hold on to their honor and their dignity. And so I needed to look like a warrior who's also a king, a young king with a young wife, fighting off an enemy that is much larger than them. So he needed to see. My character also has a lot of romance in the film. The romance of the film comes from Padmaavat and Maharaul Ratan Singh, and so it needed to be a look that's beautiful and aesthetic, but at the same time it's strong and warrior-like. So that was essentially the brief that we worked around.
Also, Shahid, it's peculiar, but suicide in modern days is viewed as a cowardly act. But if you look at Rajput history, suicide was actually an act of valor. So it's a
little like harakiri. I mean, when you go back and see the concept of harakiri, to lose your life for honor, for a larger cause, was considered, and in a way is extremely, it's brave and it's very selfless to do that for a larger cause. So yes, in the context of the times that we were in, it was probably the most honorable thing and the most brave thing to do.
Let's come to the music of the film now. The two songs that we've seen, which is Ghumar, Ek Dil, Ek Jaan, has lots of classical touches to it, a lot of Rajasthani touches to it. For somebody who has an elastic, flexible body of years of dancing, to remain rock still, which is what you're doing.
Well put, my friend. Well put.
So talk to me of the music at the picturization.
Yeah, I know. I kept telling Sanjay sir that, are you going to make me dance? And he said, no, Maharaul Ratan Singh is not going to dance. So that was very clear in the beginning, and I knew that I'm not going to move and shake much in the film. And I think that's the right decision, because the character is a certain way, and to maintain the dignity of the character and for him to stay the way that he needs to be, I think it was a very brave decision that Sanjay sir took, and I was totally with him on that. So there's no dancing for me in this film. There are two songs, Ghumar, one in which is Deepika, and one which is a romantic ballad between Maharaul Ratan Singh and Padmavati, which speaks of their love, their pain, their strength and their grit to hold on. There's a lot that's happening in that song, and it's my favorite song from the film. And the place at which it comes in the film right now is not clear, obviously, because we're just promoting the song. But once people see the song and they'll understand where it comes in the film, they'll understand the context of every word. And I think the lyrics are absolutely phenomenal of the song, and you will understand that when you see the film.
I want to also talk about how much time that lighting of these songs, takes. I tried to get into Bajirao Mastani's.
Did you succeed?
I didn't. I got as far as my friend Milind Soman's vanity van, because he said, you come for the shoot.
That's not bad, bro. You got to the vanity van, so that's pretty awesome.
So Milind just gave me chai and he said, now sit here. So that's as far as I got. But just the fact that they look ethereal, they look so beautiful. So I imagine half a day of lighting, man. I don't know.
Sometimes the whole day. So it really depends. But I think the world that Sanjay sir creates is spectacular, and it doesn't come easy. I mean, it looks so beautiful because there's a lot of effort that goes into it, and he's very particular about the way he wants every frame to look, and he literally paints every frame. Every frame is a painting for him.
And does that also mean there's a fair amount of reshooting?
No reshooting
Not at all?
No.
Wow.
No reshooting at
So
all.
you do your script, and how much of it is intuitive? How much of it plays out on
So
the set?
everything's written, everything's defined, and then we get on set and he likes to organically discover it. So there will always be a little bit of improvisation, if you might want to call it, or restructuring that happens, which is what makes it very organic and very real. Because when you're doing films which are historical, it's very easy for them to become too stoic or too, anesthetic, so to say, or they get too stuck, So it's very important to make it real and fluid and organic and relatable, because even though the film is based in the 13th century, you're making it for an audience in 2017. So it's very important for those people to be able to relate to it. And that's the process that happens very instinctively and intuitively for him on set.
You work with an Imtiaz, a Vishal, Sanjay. These people are all, polar opposites of each other.
Yeah.
What is Sanjay's process that is so radically different from an Imtiaz or a Vishal, for example?
Everything. I think Sanjay sir's world and his universe is very, very unique. And therefore, the process and the journey also is very, very unique. He's a unique individual. I really think he's gifted, and I think he's a genius. And he has so much attention for detail. I've never seen somebody, and I appreciate attention for detail because I'm like that as a person. And sometimes, you feel almost like you have some disease when you're around people who don't really have that kind of attention for detail, So for me, it was a beautiful experience to sit and see how he participates in every aspect of the film. I think every moment, every string of sound, every streak of light, every emotion that is portrayed in his film is driven by what he wants you to do, and he controls it and owns it and runs it. So I don't think I've met anybody who's as detailed and as refined and as evolved as he is in so many different areas. Every filmmaker has their strengths, but he, I think, is somebody who has an understanding of almost every aspect. He also edits his own films.
Wow.
The music is his. He's very particular about the production design, so how the costumes and the sets of the film look are very largely driven by him. The lighting that is on his films is governed by briefs that he's very, very clear about. And even the performances that you see in his films are driven very strongly by how he guides his artists to perform.
And does he lose his shit on the set, or is he as calm as it gets once the
I
shot
heard a
starts
lot
rolling?
about him losing his shit and stuff, but honestly, when I worked with him, I felt that he's extremely passionate and extremely driven. And so on days, he will be intense. But that only drives the rest of the team, because sometimes a film that's so big and a film that's so ambitious needs mad passion to drive it, and he has that.
If it's not giving too much of the story away, Khilji's scar is, obviously it's there, it stares you in the face. But I've noticed in one of the songs, you have a scar too.
Yes, I do.
So if it's not giving too much of the story away, is that a battle-induced scar, or what is it? I mean,
well, both these guys are warriors, and both these guys have fought many battles in their lives. They've hit the battlefield many times, so it would be a little weird for neither of them to have anything at all on their face. And yes, so I do have a scar on my face and a couple more, which you will see in the film. And that was very clearly defined, because it's very interesting. I remember Sir said, he said that, okay, I want him to look beautiful, but then I also want him to have a scar, because even the moon is beautiful, but chand pe bhi daag to hota hai. So he has those kind of thoughts in his head, and that's again driven by him completely.
I'm just so happy that Deepika and yourself have a romantic track, your husband and wife. The obvious thing would have been to have Ranveer and Deepika have a romantic track, but you guys look so wonderful together, in the trailer, in the this and that. Talk to me about Deepika Padukone.
Well, Deepika Padukone is playing Padmaavat, and I don't think there's anybody but better who could have played the role. She's done 2 wonderful films with Sir before, and she's done a wonderful job in those films. And me and her have never worked before, so it was great that we're doing a film like Padmaavat together. And of course, there was this huge responsibility, because playing Maharaval, Ratan Singh and Padmavati, you're not just playing king and queen, you're also playing husband and wife. And a large part of the drama of the film comes from the interpersonal dynamics that lie between the husband and the wife. So it was very important for us to connect and engage with each other, for us to... Right now, you're just seeing, really, it's just a very little part of what the film has in store for the audience. But it's great to see that people are feeling it already. And yeah, she's beautiful. She's a great actor, and she's done a great job.
I'm not going to get into the controversy of it, but what has stemmed from that and everything that's been happening on social networking is that in 2018, we're actually doing a radio show called People United India to United, where we're trying to get people together. In these troubled times where people are trolling each other, freedom of expression is questioned, how can people reach out to each other? With the example of you working on this movie, which has been mired in controversy, what are we doing wrong? Why are we not being in love with each other as human beings, as Indians?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's difficult for me to comment on it. Of course, what you're saying makes sense. I mean, it's very obvious that it's become very easy to pass comments without being identified, and that's the disadvantage that social media has. You know, you don't need to really step up and be in the spotlight and take ownership for what you say. People can just say what they want. But it's part of the whole thing. I mean, the digital era is going to have issues like this which will need to be dealt, and probably the initiative that you're taking is going to be something that is much required. It is important for communities to come together and say that, hey, we on the digital medium can also be positive. And I just feel life is simple, you know. If you're going to spread positivity, it's going to come back to you, and if you're going to spread negativity, it's going to come back to you. So the only person you're damaging is yourself if you're being negative without really any reason.
So is your daughter going to see the movie? Because, you know, sometimes you worry about
I
children.
don't know if she'll sit through
violence.
it. I don't know if she'll sit through it. You know what I'm saying? I'd love for her to see it, but I probably think like she'll get bored after 5 minutes or something, because, you know, she's not grown up enough. But she's seen, she's seen the song, she's seen some promos, and the cutest thing is when she looks, you know, at the screen, and then after a few seconds, she looks at me with this very perplexed expression on her face, and I think she kind of knows that it's her dad, but that's it. I mean, that's what it is, and it's, I hope she sees the film. Maybe she'll understand it a few years later. But it's the first film I did after she was born. So
how are your diaper changing skills on 1 to 10? Are you 8,
my
9?
skills are 11, bro. I've changed all kind of diapers with all kinds of smelly stuff in it.
That is superb. Let's talk about the armory. Again, you know, couldn't be easy. A lot of it is heavy.
Very
stuff
heavy, yeah.
And
You know, we thought we were discussing that how, you know, chainmail, which is essentially the heaviest part because it's all metal, and how we're going to make it from lighter material and all. And I was like, okay, great, man, this is sorted. I put it on and I was like, dude, I can't stand. This is really heavy. But the whole film is like that, you know, even though you visually, when you see it, you feel the armor is the heaviest part. But a lot of the other portions, because I'm wearing very big pagdis with a lot of jewelry and a lot of adornments on, on all the characters. So every outfit that I've worn in the film is extremely heavy. Very few outfits were easy and, you know, breathable. Most of them were very, very heavy.
this one obviously sees you in a much more controlled kind of avatar. And here's Ranveer with his over-the-top energy, which obviously, again, he's giving vent to, because
Sure.
SLB has created that kind of a character for him. The scenes between you and him, I mean, I get the feeling you would really feed off each other as performers, given your individual strengths. So how was that?
Excellent. I think the cast of the film is the biggest strength of the film. I think the fact that Sir has been able to bring all three of us together makes the film very volatile, and it brings it alive, because all three characters are very strong individuals in their own right. Like you said, they have very defined personalities. And honestly, the trailer is just a glimpse. There's a lot more that you will discover. There's no character that is, I would say, that is only on one sur. You know, of course, the predominant sur of certain characters might be louder and lesser, but there are so many layers to every character in this film that it's only when you'll see the film you'll actually realize who is what. So wait to see the film.
So here's Padmaavat, and there's so much being said about Rajput culture. What has Shahid Kapoor learnt about Rajput culture after playing Ratan Singh?
I have a lot of respect for the dynasty of Mewar and Chittor and for the people, and I feel very privileged, honestly, to play the character of Maharaja Ratan Singh. He really was a king who was faced with an impossible battle, which was a very personal battle, you know, because it was not just about conquering a dynasty, it was personal. His wife was involved. I think the valor, the grit, the skill that they had as warriors, and the spirit, I think really it is the Rajput spirit which stood out for me. The two words that I have held on to play this character are Rajput and warrior. Those two words define Maharaja Ratan Singh, and you will discover that in the film.
Now, how does it work? If you're influenced by a particular film, do you just do the film and you move on? Or you say, my God, let me read a little more about Rajput culture. Let me find out a little more about Chittorgarh and Mewar. Did that happen to you? Did this film leave you so influenced as to want to learn more?
Of course, I think that journey will go on for a while. I've just whetted my palate. I am curious, and I'm sure I'll use every opportunity to gain as much as I can.
We never get to speak to the business heads, so we are dependent on you actors to also give us that side of the story. I believe it's going to get an international release, so tell me about that. That's really exciting for Indian cinema.
Absolutely. I think Paramount Classics has taken the film on, and they will be releasing it internationally, and I hope that this film reaches... You know, this film celebrates Indian heritage. It celebrates Indian history. It celebrates our culture. It celebrates everything that we are deep down. You know, we might wear what we wear now, and we might predominantly be speaking in English in this interview, but essentially we are all Indian at heart, and it really celebrates everything that's Indian. And it's a huge chapter in history. I'm sure there are many people who know about this chapter, and there are as many who don't. So it's great that it's being brought out on such a large platform, and it is being pushed out in such a large way, and it's been made at such a large scale, and it can be taken to so many people, because I really think it's a story that deserves being told. And cinema is about that. Cinema is about stories. If there is a story that can penetrate through the language barrier and that can penetrate through countries and cultures, this story definitely falls in that category.
Can you talk about Jim Sarbh? Or is that also
I haven't really
off-bounds?
shot with Jim. Most of his work
I thought he was
is with-
spectacular in Neerja, and he's in
Yes.
this movie, and we don't know what
Yes.
what he's
So
going to come
great,
across
now we're
as.
keeping you curious. It's best. But yeah, I had just literally half a scene with Jim, but he is a phenomenal actor and I'm sure he'll be spectacular in the film.
The shooting locations, did you actually go and film in forts?
No, we shot
some of
most
them
of it on set.
on
Most
set.
of it on set. There was a lot of outdoor work which happened, but most of that happened without the main actors. Most of what me, Deepika and Ranveer have shot has been on sets.
What to you describes Sanjay Leela Bhansali in a couple of sentences, or maybe a few words?
He's a mad genius. He's born with special skills. He understands more than most very refined artists do. He has the ambition that it takes for him to discover his own genius. He has that ambition. Sometimes there are people who are very ambitious, but they lack talent, and sometimes there are people who are very talented and they lack ambition. He has both.
What's your wife's favorite Shahid Kapoor film?
So far, I think which is her, I think Jab We Met.
You haven't asked her in a while.
No, I think it's Jab We Met. I
She
think
must
so.
be so excited about this one, eh?
Yeah, because I don't like sit with her and say, so baby, which is my favorite film of yours. It's slightly narcissistic to do that, but I think
but
it's
still,
Jab We
you
Met.
like an over dinner, you can just ask her where you think. Was there ever point she thought you could do better?
I think there always will be that point because of course I can do better. Why else would I still be working? I should then,
No, in the sense
it's always
does she
good
pull
to-
you up? Does she pull you up and say, you could have done that?
She's very supportive. I wouldn't really say she pulls me up as such. She's very supportive, and I think she's come to understand how demanding this job is. Because she's not really an insider, so she didn't really know how it works, and she has mentioned a few times how she's learned to gain a lot of respect for the job that we do.
Last question, what's the legendary Pankaj Kapoor's favorite Shahid Kapoor film?
That's a good question. I think Heather would be his favorite. I mean, that's what I think.
So man, how was Diwali celebrated?
Yeah, I was with family. I was out of town. I was with Meera's parents, and we were chilling like any other regular family would, spending time with Misha, spending time with in-laws, being together. I think that's what festivities essentially are all about, coming together.
Cannot wait for Padmaavat, brother.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah, thank you.